Hey, this is Notser, and today we're in the Tier 9 Premium French Battleship, Bart. We're on the map Trap. The build is on the screen. It is a typical concealment fire prevention build, and this is a blueprint to success game. I wanted to document it and share my thoughts moment to moment. And speaking of moment to moment, enemy Des Moines shows a perfect broadside, which I unload my AP but also use my main battery reload module in response to the position of the enemy. It's a cruiser that's broadside at a fairly shallow range. Unfortunately, we overpin with our next salvo, and it looks like the target will be hidden from view in smoke. So I'm going to unload my last salvo from main battery reload, and I'm going to talk about what I'm looking to do. Now, the JB is a strong premium tier 9. The main battery reload module makes it strong and impactful, and it's useful in both the AP or the HE, which is absolutely wonderful. Now, one of the weak points of French battleships is the lack of high armor value on the outer layer of the ship. It has 32 millimeters all around. It is completely vulnerable to high explosive from anyone, but as long as you can consider these weaknesses and make full use of main battery reload, JB can be outstanding. So, multiple enemies, last spotted somewhere south of Sea Point, and I'm taking extensive fire, and of course there's enemy torpedoes. I have a friendly on the outside, and I don't really care that he's there. I'm not going to sacrifice my ship's full life so that he is fully healthy. It's just an unfortunate situation where the player is so close to me that I can't actually maneuver the way I want to. I want to avoid the torpedoes completely. I want to make use of the speed that's available to me. Thankfully, the torpedo range is not enough to completely devastate my ship or the friendly Missouri. But notice we took a ton of damage. Just the way it works out, right? But it looks like I'm able to disengage completely. And in response to the Iowa, I use main battery. But Percy shows a perfect broadside, and of course I'm going to transition immediately to engaging him in combat. And of course we get the first blood. One last salvo on the Iowa. I elevate the gun. It looks like he's maneuvering back a little bit, so maybe the shell's trajectory will eventually fall into their citadel. And yes, of course it does. Convenient, fortunate, but we took out the Des Moines, and that is of course very valuable. I don't need to do anything else other than playing intelligently. And intelligently, in my opinion, involves minimizing the number of targets that can fire on your position. This enemy gearing, he's clearly firing on my position, and I clearly don't want him to fire on my position, so I'm going to try and use the cover of the islands to prevent whatever evil ship happens to be firing on maybe the Des Moines. And the ship is setting fire to my ship. He's obviously using high explosive, so it's going to be effective. I get a little bit of chip damage on the gearing, but not anything that's, noticeable. But honestly, it's better than nothing. A little bit of chip damage on a DD goes a long way to discouraging any aggressive play in the near future. And of course, we're still spotted because the gearing is still in line of sight. And since he's in line of sight, he decides to fire his guns. He's looking for a little bit of high explosive chip damage. I am looking for none of that. Thank you very much. Please don't touch my ship. We've disengaged from the gearing, though. Now I can focus on targets that, maybe are underestimating the threat. This enemy Des Moines, he's broadside to my position, so I try and verify the range, and we fire on his position. He does move a little bit swiftly out of the area, but not before we get 2 shells to make contact, and that's great. Now, you might be asking, which ship do you fire on in this position? I could fire on the Iowa, and he does have less health than the Des Moines, but anytime I see a cruiser that is that vulnerable to fire, I'm looking to try and punish. And now he recognized it as well, he slowed down, but I'm not passing up a cruiser broadside. And yeah, I'm making full use of my main battery. I know the Iowa's going to die. But if I can get the cruiser and the Iowa, well, we're set up for success. Unfortunately, that enemy Des Moines, he angles his ship more and he's sailing off, so I transition to the Iowa, which easily get a full broadside damage. He has an island. He can't angle away. It's an easy kill. Hindsight, maybe I should have considered just firing on the Iowa and finishing him. But if I get a broadside Citadel on the Des Moines, that's worth more than taking out the Iowa. It really is. Because the Iowa will be just inherently vulnerable to fire. It's a giant battleship. The Missouri that was escorting me, for whatever reason, he decided to sail forward and die. And that's unfortunate. I, in this position, felt like I'm almost baiting myself into sailing forward and also dying. So I'm just playing with the throttle a little bit. Oh, I'm not going to pass this up. The Iowa's vulnerable. But I was just playing with the throttle, trying to discourage the Des Moines from firing on my position. Easy kill on the target. Yep, there is the Des Moines. And oh, he seems to be showing another broadside. So, of course, I'm going to change my gun's position to hopefully fire on this guy right as he is using the island as cover. I hope that the shells get there and Citadel him and knock him out. Not quite. They do overpin, and the Richelieu, for the first time in a while, is visible. So I've got the Richelieu as an issue. We also have the Grosse Kur first, and the Des Moines. Oh yeah, and by the way, the enemy gearing, he's actually in the base capture. So yeah, there are torpedoes potentially, torpedoes potentially coming my way. Looks like the friendly Cossack was a real nice friend and gave smoke, maybe for me, maybe for himself. But I think he's trying to prevent the enemy gearing from having a line of sight on me. And if my ship wasn't just completely bloomed out, maybe it would be concealed. As it stands, it is not concealed. The gearing is clearly on the southern side of C, because there's nothing else that could spot me. And unfortunately, I'm in a weird, awkward position where I got this island who's right in front of me, and I wanted to angle a different approach. I didn't have that option. And yeah, I'm still taking fire. I, send a little bit towards the GK. Enemy Des Moines in the background. I would love to engage. He's just a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I am going to try a shot, and I'm hoping that he will take the damage. But this Richelieu is an issue. It's a really big issue, and I'm not going to just trade my health. We get 4 overpin again. No Citadel. The Richelieu does take friendly torpedoes from the Cossack, so that's great. Now, in this position, I was like, I could maybe fire on the gearing. I would love that Des Moines. 4 overpin on the Des Moines. It was a significant amount of damage, but he's probably not going to show himself. Instead, this Richelieu, he's out in the open, completely vulnerable, and coupling that with my main battery reload, we could easily kill him. But note how much time is left in the game and how many ships are left. I can't really afford to use main battery all the time. But if I'm given this chance to really punish a target, I want to. So in response, I use main battery and I equip high explosive. There's a friendly Cossack, multiple targets. We could all contribute towards this guy's health. And I'm hoping that our combined high explosive, he will not have a way of compensating for it. He will be forced to burn multiple fires. We get 1 fire for 5k. I do have the concern of the DD on my flank. And the enemy Richelieu, he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place because he's taken high explosive in the rear, high explosive in the front. I'm looking for that bow high explosive. Don't get the dispersion I was quite looking for. And I'm still taking fire from the Des Moines. That Des Moines that did sustain a little bit of damage. This isn't looking too good, though. We need to get the Richelieu dead, and we need to get it dead quickly. So he's already got 2 fires. I'm looking for the 3rd on the bow. I'm hoping the accuracy is going to be there, and it is there. And he is completely wiped out by the Moskva. Now, he didn't have torpedoes. There's no threat whatsoever. I can reposition aggressively. From the Cossack sent torpedoes. Looks like maybe it was a little delayed on the torpedo send. I don't know who he's intended to send it towards. Regardless, though, the GK, the DM, they're both visible, and of course, between the two, I would fire 100% at the Des Moines. I did almost fire my AP at the Gorosaku first, but I was hoping that the Des Moines, he would not recognize the vulnerability. He clearly does. Doombringer is not a new player to the game. He's very aware of what he's trying to do. He is just hoping that he can contribute with the GK on the flank and minimize the threat to his ship. The Des Moines does a good job of getting into cover. In response, I'm going to fire on the Gorosaku first. And he's perfectly broadside. I mean, 15,000. If I could fire my main battery, I would probably fire my main battery. And I'm moving up into this island position. I'm hoping that I can at least deny line of sight. And clearly, I'm not denying line of sight, so there is something at B point that's close enough to spot me surface-wise without the bloom. Another giant salvo, and once again, another main battery reload consumable. Now, this will leave me without any remaining for the game, but look at how much punishment is available to me. The only concern that I have is that the Des Moines is still alive, and I am pretty stationary. I could, in theory, take a torpedo directed at my position, but I'm still doing just great broadside damage to this GK. AP, he can't heal it, and he's still, for whatever reason, he refuses to leave the position. I think he's afraid that if he wasn't there, the Des Moines would be taken out, but the Cossack lands beautiful torpedoes, and it ends up being the best possible play by me. The contribution of damage on this target is a huge benefit, and yep, there is one of the targets responsible for keeping me spotted. I rotate my guns towards the target, and his last known position, I try and make one last fire at it. Don't know that it'll hit. We actually do hit 3 overpin and defend the base, but I want to get out of this line of sight. I want this island to exist in front of me. The friendly Cossack spider, he uses smoke, which will be placed in front of me, and it should allow me one ambushing shot on perhaps the Massachusetts, who's very low. I do wish I had the main battery reload. Oh, but this Massachusetts, he's so low. Only one more good salvo and he'll be knocked out. It does look like he is using his heal, though. And of course, the GK, he's still firing at my position. He knocks out one of my 2 guns, one of the huge vulnerabilities of the JB. Just as any other forward-mounted battleship, if you use preventative maintenance or main armament protection, these will help reinforce the health, and hopefully you won't have him incapacitated that much. But the Krasny criminal is showing pretty much his entire ship. He isn't terrible. I, in response, fire off my guns. Friendly, along with my guns, contribute to take out the target. And now I'm at 2,200. Incredibly low. I would love this Cossack to be out of line of sight and for me to drop off detection, because every single target that's left on the enemy team is in front of me. That's it. I can use this island to completely block it. We get another overpin on the target. He uses his smoke. In response, I'm going to duck inside of the concealment barrier that the island is projecting. And all the targets and, of course, torpedoes finally are sent towards my position. But we're in a good spot. We've got multiple enemies who absolutely are interested in killing us. Friendly Shimakaze can totally go take A point. They are all vulnerable in this position. All I'm looking to do is stall this out as much as possible and get more damage on them. It would be awesome if we could get, maybe a Kraken Unleashed. We're 2 kills away, but I only have 1,400 damage left. That's basically a shell from every single target. So I very cautiously back up, keeping the island in between my ship and the enemies, and I'm firing on the most vulnerable target to my position. This Cossack does look like he could be a vulnerable target to me. All I'm waiting for is the island indicator to not be on screen. We don't have anyone spotting, which sucks. We do have a friendly that's suggesting I stay dark, and I agree. I am purely relying on my friendly's ability to spot, and This is just killing me, guys. This is the worst thing ever. As someone who is usually aggressive, I look to be the difference maker, and I just can't be the difference maker in this position. I have to wait on friendlies to reveal the enemy's location. So yeah, the French is bottled up. I can't leave this area. This position is the last position, my last stand. As long as there are DDs and battleships that have equal or better concealment, I'm completely vulnerable. So, enemy GK, he's looking to be a little bit out in the open, and because of that, I'm going to fire. I do still have good island concealment, both on the left side and on the right side of my ship. And we're just getting a little bit of free damage. I don't know how much free damage will be available. The enemy Massachusetts is clearly firing, and of course, the Cossack aggressively pushes forward into the Moskva. I recognize immediately what he's trying to do. We take out the Cossack. I am trying to reposition. I am so desperate to dive into cover. His high explosive doesn't knock me out, but the Massachusetts does. But we still contributed towards the enemy's destruction. I love that we knocked out that DD, and it should allow the friendly Moskva an easy kill on the Massachusetts B. At least theoretically. That's always up to the player. He should easily deal with this guy though, and then we will have maybe a 3-ship-to-1, 2-ship-to-1 advantage. The GK, he's off. He's used a lot of heal. I don't know how much extra health he can recover. He's just sustained a lot over the course of the game. I expect that they're not going to be interested in pushing forward, and I think we've done it. I think as a team we've won it. There's only a minute left, and I was so happy that I was able to contribute so much, not only to like great big battleships. Main battery reload with great big battleship, you could easily farm 60 to 100,000 damage in a short amount of time, but against those DDs, they're just as important, if not more important, and I was able to get some snapshots off quickly and hit the first shot. Very happy with that. We did 230,000 damage, almost a Kraken. 4 kills, first blood, high caliber, Confederate. 4.4 million damage, potential damage fired at us. And we were still alive at the end of the game, almost the end of the game. Teammates did a great job in capturing. I don't believe this torpedo will make contact. It'll be close. Just off his stern, and that's the way the game ends. We win it. The Massachusetts is still alive. So is the Moskva, but boy, the JB, the Jean Bar is going to be so impactful for the Tier 9 rank season. That main battery reload, it's incredibly effective, and clearly this game speaks for itself. Absolutely hard carry, ultra carry. I had to. That fleet would have overwhelmed the eastern side of the map if I wasn't contributing with my teammates. Of course, the Cossack, the Moskva did a great job as well. Really, really thrilled by the game. 4 kills, 2,816 base XP. I'm going to just upvote a bunch of players because it was a great back and forth game. Both sides had great play. Mostly AP, of course. Tons of broadside. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.